Sir.
All right, great.
Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station. I'm your host, Roman. We have a terrific show planned for you today. Don't forget to stay tuned to Warriors Talk at 6 p.m. with my girl, Rochelle. So stay tuned for that. Tonight, my guest is an Academy Award winner who has won 2 Grammys and a Golden Globe. He is an academic professor who completed a prestigious Axelrod Pritzker Fellowship at the University of Chicago. And guess what? We have breaking news. That's why he's not in studio today. He will be an honorary doctor from the University of Chicago. So please give a Drive at 5 welcome for the first time and not his last, the one and only Rhymfest. Welcome to the Drive, sir.
Thank you for having me, man. How you doing, Roman?
No problem. Please give intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
Yes, sir. Well, you did a great job. I am an artist, and yes, I've won some of those awards you spoke about, but mainly my background is I'm a community servant. I'm a humanitarian. I would like to think of myself as one. My wife and I build schools in Africa. I help teach impact and narrative writing in my community. Just last year, we did a nature retreat where we took 12 young Black kids from Detroit through Yellowstone, Wyoming, and we had them collaborate with 12 indigenous kids. And putting those Black kids and those indigenous kids in a band together through nature really was a whole new experience for me. So I just work with community and work with children and work with music to serve. That's our purpose.
What is your platform for being on the Chicago School Board? I know you have a lot of music accolades, and that transformed to politics as well as academics, which we will get there later. You're running for Chicago School Board. Tell us, what is your platform for being on the Chicago School Board?
There are three things that I want to address. One is financial stability and growth. Education is one of the easiest places and one of the usual suspects where people steal from. For 30 years in Chicago, the school board has been a $10 billion a year business, but it's also been a shadowy organization because there was no democracy. For the last 30 years, we haven't had an elected school board. So now they're saying next year, we're going to have a $400 million shortfall. Well, why? Where is money being wasted? We had tablets that all of the children got during COVID, that no one knows where those tablets are now. And we spent millions of dollars on tracking devices that was never activated. And so no one knows where all of our taxpayer money went. 6 out of 10 of your property tax dollars goes towards schools in Chicago. I could tell you, I live in Chatham. My property value has gone down, but my property taxes have gone up. So I'm running to make sure that our tax dollars are properly spent in building our educational experiences, our community schools, and in turn, our neighborhoods. Number two, I am an artist by trade. I want to leverage the arts to get children and families excited about going to school again. Listen, imagine if on school play day, and we know when there's a school play or performance, the whole family shows up. Why isn't that also report card day where the whole family shows up? So you can enjoy watching your child exhibit their gift, and you can also get those grades. Number three, we want to make sure people are safe and secure going and coming from school. A lot of violence happens after school. I know, I went to CPS, bro. I know what it's like I went to South Shore, but when I had to go to my grandma's house in Jeffrey Manor, and that bus stopped on 87th Street, and all those kids jumped on the bus, and it was gang fights, I know what that's about. I've been in it. So I want to make sure that our children are safe going and coming from school. And I believe that all three of those things, financial stability, leveraging arts and education for beautiful experience at schools, and safety and well-being, those are my three main platforms that I would like to bring to District 10.
Let's say you're on the school board right now as we speak. You mentioned your platform. How would you make a difference being on the board? Because it's really not that much a person could do but only vote.
You
How can you
know,
make a difference?
I, I hear that a lot, and I get it. People are tired of politics or don't believe politics works in our everyday lives. I don't feel that way. I think your vote does count. I believe that we have a better, I'll give you an example. We have a better DMV system. Our BMV, since Alexi Janulius has been in, it runs smoother. I get in and get out to get my license and all my paperwork because my vote for him mattered to the system that I have to navigate when I go to get my license. My trash is picked up on time. If your trash wasn't picked up in 1 week, we would be living in an apocalypse. You know who does that? Your streets and sands person. You know who manages that? Your alderman. So when your streets are fixed, when your trash is picked up, I mean, just everyday things that we don't even think about, your license and all of that stuff, that's politics. That's your vote at work. How would I make a difference with one vote out of 21 on the school board? We got to get the community involved. And what I mean, Roman, when I say get the community involved, I want to have participatory voting. When one of the things we don't have in terms of our schools is transparency. So what I want to bring as a member of the board is to develop a committee made up of parents, LSC members, youth, that when I get a vote on my desk, they help me go through that paperwork. We're transparent with the community about what this vote is going to be about. And there's a committee that helps me take the votes. I have a vision, but I don't have all the ideas. And because of that, I want this to be all hands on deck with community having a say-so with how I vote as their representative.
You mentioned transparency, and that's the key. Almost every politician, everyone, we don't consider you a politician, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
However, when people mention transparency and once they get in, they find it's difficult to be transparent. So, how can you be sure that you will be transparent with the people regarding school information, your vote, and everything else?
Let me ask you a question, Roman. Why do you think it's difficult? What is your analysis about why it's difficult for legislators to be transparent? Why do you think that is?
Well, I would love to answer your question, but I'm not being interviewed. I'm just
I know, but I just to answer your question, I guess I'm trying to get more information, like because I can answer the question, but I don't want to answer it blindly.
I where I'm coming from is we interview politicians all the time, and the number one thing they say is transparency. Give you a prime example, David Moore. He was running for Alexis Janulius. The number one thing he called for was transparency. And everyone calls for transparency. But once you are elected, it's difficult to be transparent.
And that's what I'm wondering. Why? Like, why is it difficult? You're saying it's difficult. I don't believe that it's very difficult. And so it would help me to understand what is it that is the belief that it is. Now, people may not be transparent when they get in, but I don't know how difficult it is to be courageous. I think transparency, just for me, the word transparency, it takes courage to be transparent, because what that means is Whether you like what you're going to see or don't like what you're going to see, this is what it is. And, with people dealing with it is what it is. Now, what are we going to do about it? Solutions, the only thing I can think to answer is I got the courage to be transparent. But if there's another reason that you think it's difficult, maybe I can speak to that.
Well, what I was getting at, as transparent as possible, your vow in one of your platform is to be transparent. What I was getting into is like once you get into office, once you get in, like the budget, they release the budget on their time frame.
Mm.
So how can you be transparent to let the people know once it's released to the public? Once it's released to the public, it's kind of like, I give you another example, the migrant situation. The alderman said they didn't know about the park district being there. This is another subject though, but it's giving you an example of transparency. And the city knew the time frame when the migrants was coming in. The city knew about um, what was going on at that time and at the who, what, when, where, and how. But the alderman, it dripped. The information dripped. So what I'm saying is, how can you be transparent once you're in, and keep what you're saying as the promise and be very vocal, like they're doing the drip process and I don't know this information. So how can you be transparent at a school board that leaks information about school closing when the time the public gets to know? You will know at the same time what they're thinking and how they're thinking.
Well, I believe that as a school board member, I would be equipped with the information as it's happening, not a day before it happens, because as a school board member, it would take my vote for things to even move in a direction or not. What I would also say is I'm going to go back to community involvement, participatory voting, in order to have an informed vote. I mean, from myself, it's going to take the community. I believe in having communal committees to help me with the decisions that I'm going to make on behalf of the community. And this has to be an intergenerational council of elders, of youth, of parents, of LSC members, board members, people who are in the schools when I'm not in the schools. And so with that, I'm being held accountable for the votes that I take. I don't think a lot of legislators, just to, directly go at your question, I don't think a lot of legislators create pipelines for their own accountability. So what I would like to do, Roman, is just set up a network in the community to hold me accountable for that transparency, to have an office in the district. I believe that every school board member should have an office or two offices in the district, not only at the school board headquarters. And so when you have an office in the district and parents can visit you and your LSC members can visit you, I think that does call for more transparency. You're holding yourself accountable and you're allowing others to. Creating, you remember when back in the day, and I don't know that they do this anymore, aldermen had precinct captains, and they would check in with their precinct captains who were around different areas of the ward, and the precinct captains would say, this is what's going on over here, or this is what's needed over here. Over time, we started seeing precinct captains being eliminated, and the alderman was just kind of like the war chief over the fiefdom, over the ward. We need to bring that type of stuff back, because those precinct captains were holding those aldermen accountable. And I believe at that time you had smoother running community.
Why run for the CPS board? You were a candidate for alderman and now school board. Why?
Yeah. 12 years ago, we ran for alderman. Now, 12 years later, a lot of accomplishments later, I'm running for school board. You know, the qualification for running for CPS school board is to be a Chicago citizen. And for me, is you got to love children. You got to love community and you got to love children. Simply put, the community, I'm a CPS graduate. I went to South Shore. I went to Boucher. I live in Chatham in my great grandmama's house that I bought to not let this house be lost to, different forces that are taking our properties in the community. And I have been given so much, Roman, by this community. The South Side has given me so much. Me and another guy who went to CPS named Rashid Lonnie Lynn, aka Common, we wrote a song called Glory, honoring the community. That's where that Academy Award came from. And this is my way of giving back everything that has been given to me. I got the time to serve. I got the love in my heart to serve, and I'm willing to do it. One of the things Jesus said, I'm not looking for perfect people. I'm just looking for those who are willing. And I'm willing, bro. And not everybody is willing to do this type of job without getting paid. There's no money in it. I'm spending my own money. As our sister Shirley Chisholm said, I am unbought and unbossed. The first $100,000 of this campaign was put in by me for the community. I'm not with any big institutions or corporations. I wasn't sent by nobody. And I love children and I love to serve. And this city needs the spirit of love back. We got a lot of finessers, a lot of politicians, a lot of people doing business. But where are the people that really love the city and love the people? I got that. And that's why I'm running.
The school board is not exactly up to the Chicago voters if you really look at it. In this upcoming election, the mayor still has a say-so. What is your opinion on that? Does the mayor have power over the school board?
For now, however, I think we have to look at this more critically than how we're looking at it. So if we're going to use critical thought, this is the first time in 30 years that this has ever happened. We talk about the mayor, but the people, our representatives in Springfield are the ones who designed the maps. They're the ones who decided how this election would go. So if they're saying, okay, this first time that we're doing this new system, we're going to do a hybrid board. We're going to have 10 elected. We're going to have 11 selected by the mayor for the first 2 years. Then after 2 years, we're going to do a full elected board. I think they're working out the kinks, how not to have such a flawed board. So in 2 years, we will have a full elected board, and then the board will do 4-year terms. So I do think that, all you need, if you have 10 elected school board members, all it takes is 1 or 2 people to convince 1 or 2 other people and make a good case. And this is where leveraging politics and things come in, leveraging what you need versus what is needed on the other side. I think if you have good elected legislators, you can make great things happen for community schools. Why not?
You list some of the criterias of becoming a school board member, Chicago Public School Board member. You only have to stay in the district. There's really no academic experience. Does that bother you as an academic yourself? You need a bachelor's degree, you need some type of master or some type of college education to be on a board. Don't you think that kind of like scares you that there's no academic requirement on CPS board?
It doesn't scare me at all, brother. Like, we have a lot of academics in office. Wouldn't you agree? We have a lot of lawyers. We have a lot of doctors. We have a lot of accountants, different scientists. We have different people at different levels of government with academic, the paperwork. Uh, has that brought better government? Do you believe that those standards that you're saying have given us a better system?
Is that rhetorical or you want me to answer?
No, I'm asking you.
Well, let me put it this way. It's right now, I would say, in which I shouldn't enforce my opinion, I would say when it comes to school board, you want to be in an academic friendly environment versus, and I understand sometimes you don't have to have a lot of experience because wisdom is experience. And sometimes life is experience. What you go through is experience. You have a philosophy in taking care of children. Okay, that's experience. But academically, you're going to make decisions such as school closings. You're going to make those decisions, and that's why I think it's important for someone to have academic experience. I'm not saying a whole lot. I'm just saying some type of academic experience, like a bachelor's degree or something.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, depends on which school you go to. It depends on what your bachelor degree is in. I don't think just having traditional education in itself makes you a smarter person. I know a lot of people with degrees who are not smart people. I know a lot of people that dropped out of college their first year that are billionaires and the head of tech companies. And I know these people personally. I know a lot of people who are creatives who have created. I helped a guy write an album called College Dropout, and this guy's a billionaire and doesn't have any of that those academic titles. So one of the things we are advocating for in our schools, you take CVS for example, Chicago Vocational School, 2-3 blocks long, no longer does vocation. There are people who can do heating and air conditioning. There are people who can do hydroponics and solar, and they may not have the traditional degrees, but that's not for everybody. But it doesn't mean that they don't have good ideas, and it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to participate in democracy or that they can't lift up their communities. I would take a willingness, I would take creativity, I would take love over a degree most days of the week. Now we're talking about nuclear science or medical things, and yes, I want you to have a degree. But for school board, I want you to be able to count, know how to count, and I also want you to be creative. And I also, number one, man, I want you to love children because we made this about business for so long, and I can bet you anything. Everybody that's been appointed to the school board for the last 30 years probably has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a doctorate. And we've lost more money. We've been cheated out of more of our community. 51 schools got shut down. And none of that stuff mattered, you know what I mean, to the loss that our community has taken. So while, yes, I want people to have an education, I don't want to make narrow what education is. Education comes in a lot of different forms, and we're going to have to start thinking a bit broader and being more creative about how we view rebuilding our community. That's just my opinion.
No problem. Do you think there should be a balance of power in CPS school system? That's one of the difficulties parents, teachers councils, parents are talking about, is the balance of power is whatever the mayor says goes. Your thoughts about the
That's
balance of
not
power?
balanced. That's not balance. That's a dictatorship. Yeah, we've been living under that. Whatever the boss says goes. That's not village. That's not community. And that I don't believe in that. I believe that we should have a balanced system. I believe we should have, let's go back to that word, transparency. There should be debate, and then there should be decisions. You know, I don't even mind a little disruption. Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jackson taught me, he said, you got to have agitation, litigation, and legislation. And so I think that makes a better society when we're able to move ideas around through the community until we get to the best answer.
Do you think, regarding balance of power, downstate legislators should have the power to make some critical decisions regarding CPS again?
Yes, because those are the leaders that we elected. It's interesting. Oh, Roman, it's so interesting to me, brother, that we elect these people, and then we act as though they are our authority instead of having authority over our vote. How much are you donating to your local person? Are you in a block club or neighborhood association where you guys get together and say, this is who we want to push into this office? I think it has a lot to do with our understanding of civic engagement as a community. And that's another thing, man, you just gave me another priority. I would love to see underserved schools engage more in civic engagement and young people understanding, new generations understanding their civic authority and responsibilities, because we elect these people, and we elect these people to make these decisions on behalf of community. So when they get down there, we have to empower them to make those decisions on our behalf. So yes.
So you want to add another one to your laundry list?
Platform. Yeah.
Civic engagement.
Civic engagement. Our children need it.
How would you vote if you were on the board right now regarding the Chicago Police Department at Chicago Public Schools right now?
The RSOs. The way I look at it is this. When I was going to South Shore, one of my biggest mentors and people that I could lean on for just advice as a young boy, in the neighborhood, was a security officer in my school at South Shore. He was the one that told me when I was, hold on, I'm gonna show you something. When I was doing this with my hat, and he keep telling me, hey boy, straighten your hat up. Straight, I want to see it straight. I don't want to see it to the right or the left or the back. I want to see it straight. This is Mr. Williamson. And he told me, I'm gonna tell you something. I heard you rapping in the lunchroom, and you make a way better rapper than you do gangbanger. And man, he was like a uncle to me. And that kind of informs what I'm gonna say to you now. We would do better with our budget hiring 4 security guards in every school, and that's the price of 2 officers. So if you're going to pay $150,000-$160,000 for 2 officers, why not hire 4 security guards? You could even raise the pay at that. 4 security guards. Let the police patrol the perimeter, the outside, uniform police on the outside, because guess what? My taxes pay for that anyway. And now you're doing something that makes sense. You got more security. You got more in the school, and now there's more officers available outside the school. And the young people are going to have a better relationship with a non-uniformed security officer than they will with a uniformed officer. Now, that's where I'm coming from. But guess what? I may speak to a LSC member at Phillips or, another school that says, hey, I think we really, the LSC, the local school council, we really do need a uniform officer at the school. Now, that's not my personal, I don't agree with that. I think it brings young people trauma. Every school that when you go to the best schools, they don't have uniformed officers in the schools because it's not a pipeline to prison type of deal. So they know how to secure their students without making everything so authoritarian and punitive. But if that's what that LSC wants, then we have to figure out how to get that community in school what it needs. But my personal opinion is that we can have more security guards presence in the school and more police presence outside the school for less money and more security.
As CPS schools are coming to a close this school year, attendance has been piss poor throughout the year. How can you improve the CPS attendance?
You know, it's interesting because I want to talk about children, and this is about children, but moreover, Roman, this is about families. Families have to be involved. What you find is that the best schools in our city have the best family, mom, dad, uncle, aunt participation. So when you look at Whitney Young, they have a lot of parent participation. So what I would do to help increase attendance is make education a better experience for the family. That school needs to be open from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. We have to have wraparound services. We have to have extended classes in the summertime. And I'm not talking about summer school. I'm talking about drama club. I'm talking about dance club, photography classes, things that parents and children can participate in. So when that school year starts, it's a family affair, not just a children's warehouse.
But most educators say it's parents' lack of participation in their child's education. They won't show up for parent-teacher conference, pick up their report cards. How can you elevate, as an elected school board, motivate after principals and teachers have tried their best to get parents involved? You're saying extend the process from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to have drama, tap dance, music, the list goes on and on. But how would you draw them in?
Things that parents can participate in with their children. Listen, I get what you're saying, and we're saying the same thing. Parents in some of the underserved schools are not participating, but are they even being invited to do things that they do with their children on the weekend? Do we offer that in the schools? It's not, I don't believe that parents aren't in the lives of their children, but they may just have different interests. And the parents may think, well, the school is your job and this is my job. And then on the weekend as a family, we do this, this, and this. Well, if the schools start offering different programs that families can participate in together, it draws the family back to the school. That school is not a warehouse or a babysitting service. That school is a community service center. And I believe that it should service the community. We have to extend the tentacles of school out into the community.
Part of that low attendance, what some parents and educators are saying, school violence and bullying is one reason for low attendance. How can the school board change the school violence and bullying inside and outside school grounds? You mentioned the perimeter that the Chicago police can get involved in outside the perimeter, hire 4 security guards, which can kind of the salary of 1 police officer, you can hire 4. Besides that, you still have bullying going on. You still have school shootings that's going on. What are your thoughts of how can you get that? Because some parents are saying, forget this. I'm transferring my daughter to the suburbs. They have better education. If she has to stay with grandma, she has to stay with grandma. Your thoughts?
You know, that doesn't solve the problem for them. And they find out when their kid gets transferred to the school in the suburbs that the most of the bullying doesn't take place in the classroom anymore. Most of the bullying takes place right there, online. My daughter was a victim of school bullying. And what happened to my daughter, who's now 16 years old, was somebody created an Instagram account with her name and her face and her likeness and started talking about every other kid in the classroom as if they were my daughter. So when my daughter went to school, she had a hard time for an account she didn't even, that wasn't even hers. It was another kid in the classroom that made the fraudulent account. It's happening high tech now, the bullying. And so again, when I say that we have to extend the reach of CPS outside the school, we have to do that. And when we talk about safety and well-being, we're talking about social and emotional trauma counseling. We have to make sure that there is a counselor in every school, that there's media training in every school, that our children can recognize a fake post from a real post. You know what that is? Critical thinking in every school. A lot of our schools have gotten away from teaching critical thinking. We give information, but we don't give context. And so, what I want to make sure that CPS is funding is counselors, is social media training, is programs that bring critical thinking skills to our children. I also think, let's go back to those 4 security guards in every school. They can see the mess before it starts. A lot of what Chicago police are designed to do is react to a problem that has already started. When you have security guards posted in the school, they get to know the children and what's going on with the children, and they can intervene before the problem starts. So I think those are just some measures that we can take, but we have to work as a community to really protect our children. Do you remember when they used to do those safe zones and we had people from the community escorting children to school? Do you remember that? They were walking children to school to keep them safe. That actually did lower violent incidents. We have to bring stuff like that back where the community is involved in combing the perimeter and escorting young children to and from school.
Let's talk about your music career for a minute. Your name is not mentioned as one of the greatest when discussing great MCs, writers, and hip hop music producers in Chicago. Why do you think your name is not mentioned as one of the greatest top MCs in Chicago? You're laughing, but people have these conversations and your name is not mentioned, but your accolades says something different. Your thoughts?
All of that is ego, bro. Like I can't live my life like that. Like I cannot live my life for who mentions my name. I've dedicated my life, Roman, to service. I mean it for real, bro. Like I've really dedicated my life to service. And I've never been in need. I've never been I don't know. I've been
Do you
taken care of.
think you
I mean, that's because to me, I look at that like it's distractions. You know what I mean? Like just for me, it's distractions.
but you don't think you are being disrespected in the Chicago
No,
hip hop music industry? You don't think
nah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I get a pension. Like I'm 46 and I got a rap pension. Like people don't even make it as far as I've gotten in the industry. I'm probably in the 1% for real. So like what humans say about me or don't say about me, I'm running for office. Do you know the most disrespect that I've ever gotten has not been in rap? It's been in people thinking they can haze me because I'm running for office, and people saying he was sent by this, or he, just, I mean, running for, man, political beef is way crazier than diss tracks and clapbacks. Like political beef, people try to get you put in jail. If I was going to feel offended or disrespected, hey, let me tell you something real interesting. And I'm not lecturing our people. Since I've been out here running for office, one thing I be seeing in the community? Black women are doing all the work. Black men are distracted, bro. Like, we're distracted by Kendrick Lamar and Drake. We're distracted by trying to get money all day, finessing. We're distracted by, ooh, look at her, look at that. Ooh, jump on this, jump on that. Like, we're distracted by conspiracy theories. Black men, we missing something right now.
But you don't think music is playing a part of that?
Music is definitely playing a part of that. And that's why I have to use my gift, my history, my experience, and music to try to heal what I can. And the more that I get involved in feeling disrespected, that's a personal, like your feeling, that's a personal thing that you have to learn to manage your emotions around whatever's going on outside of you that you can't control. I can't control not being on your list. And in fact, if I was on your list, I probably would be more subject to the ego. Cool. It's cool. I don't know what other people's priorities are with their list. That has nothing to do with the example I'm trying to set. So I just kind of look at it like I just want to be the best me I can be. And that surrounds managing my emotions and doing my purpose. That's all I can be focused on.
You have worked with the industry's top-notch people, Kanye West, Common, and top R&B artists and hip-hop artists. You are one award away from being called the GOAT in your career. Do you ever wonder that I am one win away of becoming a GOAT in the industry? Have you ever thought about that? The GOAT is on your status.
I'm going to show you something. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I'm going to show you something interesting. Very interesting.
I guess I started something, right? Right,
Oh.
Oh, you brought the Grammy out.
Hold on. See, now you acting crazy, man. Hold on.
What?
1 second. Don't you go nowhere.
Uh-oh, he's bringing out his accolades. Even Soul Train Awards. I saw the Soul Train Award.
I'm going to show you something. Yeah. So this is the award that I like the most because it comes from our people, the Soul Train Award. That's when your community acknowledges you. This Golden Globe doesn't even have a name on it, so it doesn't matter. Now, I don't know if you can, no, you're not going to be able to see this.
Yeah, I see it going in and out, but that's a Grammy.
All right, but this Grammy, what you can't see, this what I was trying to show you. You see how loose that is? It's broken. It's scraped and scratched up. That's the Jesus Walks Grammy. Now, the reason it's broken and scraped and scratched up, this is the point. It doesn't mean these are trinkets, bro. They don't mean nothing unless you're using them to teach. I take these awards to different schools I go to when I teach impact writing. And that's what gets the kids to listen to me when I break the Grammys out. And they drop them, they scuff them, they do everything and tear these things up. But I look at that as that's honor. Like when the fact that these got so many scrapes on them and they loose, that's an honor. That means I'm using the awards for something. Like other than that, they have no meaning. I don't care. All these people, they got all these awards, they got all this money. And it don't mean nothing if they're not empowering nobody with it. You're not replacing yourself. So when you die, what happens? It don't matter. Like I
But
want to
your
give young
legacy
people something.
is one is the awards. I understand it's materialistic things, but
Yeah.
if you look at your accolades, like you have worked with Kanye West, which I'm going to ask you this question, by the way. What is it like working with Kanye West? Some people say he's a musical genius.
Mm.
Some people say it's unorthodox experience. What do you think? You worked with him, you collabed with him. The song Brand New, which is one of my favorites, is um you and Kanye have collabed. So what is your experience collabing with Kanye?
Well, we grew up together, so I've been knowing him since I was 15 years old. A lot of people ask me, "What's it like?" What the question you just asked me, but my number one answer is Kanye wasn't the power. He isn't the power. The power existed in his mama, Dr. Donda West. And the real question is, what was it like being mentored and taught by Dr. Donda West? She gave it to both of us. She's the one that, when Kanye was living in China from the age of 5 to the age of 9, learning Mandarin, she's the one that told me, hey, stop rapping about how many girls you slept with and how many guns you shot and how many drugs you sold. You didn't really do that, son. If you ever get famous or get an opportunity, and that's what you're rapping about, that's who you're going to have to be. Do you want to be that person? And I said, no, no, Dr. West, I just want to be on the radio and be famous. She said, then write your story. That's the song they ain't heard yet. She's the one that taught us, where you hear those lines, we're all self-conscious. I'm just the first to admit it. That comes from Dr. Donda West. So what was it like being trained and mentored by her? A bunch of boys, including her son, Kanye West, or Ye, as we know him now. It was incredible. It reminds me, we sit on the shoulders of giants. And in Chicago, we got Third World Press. We got the Reverend Jesse Jackson still alive. We can go see him every Saturday at Operation Push. We got Minister Louis Farrakhan still here. We had Timuel Black. We got DuSable Museum. We are on the shoulders of giants that are still living. And I think sometimes that's where I want to go back to this distraction. We're asking about contemporary people. You need to go visit some of these elders. They got some answers.
Talk about a little bit, because we're almost running out of time. You are involved in the community arts, which was part of Donda West organization. Talk to us briefly about that.
Yes. So I created an organization called Donda's House about 12 years ago, that transformed now into an organization called Art of Culture. And we focus on nature, culture, and community. We're going to be doing a lot of things. I got about 40 kids. We're going to be working with Lollapalooza this year. We're going to be doing art galleries all over the city. And I'm working with about 100 young people. We're creating an album right now. I just released the album with Golden State, the Golden State Warriors. It's called Golden State Entertainment. But I'm going to be releasing another album with young people come July. So, our
And we want you to
organization,
come back with that.
man, maybe we can perform on the show in the studio.
We'll do. I'll
That'd
hold
be
you
great.
to that too.
Hold me to it. Hold me accountable, brother.
Final question. If you Rhymefest, read your legacy, what would you like your legacy in the music industry and your accolades academically, as well as community, would be like in your legacy?
That's a difficult question for somebody who's still moving forward inside of that journey. Um, I don't want to. I don't. If I predict something, I'm going to limit it. However, if I say something, I've already limited myself. However, hey man, I just want to leave somebody that Rhymfest left it all on the field. I don't want to die and the most valuable thing that I have be in the graveyard and in the ground with me. I would like for my legacy to be everything he had, he gave.
On that note, could you please give intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station where they can get in contact with you and get a hold of you if they want to volunteer?
Of course, go to rhymefestforcps.com. That is rhymefestforcps.com. You can follow me on Instagram at rhymefestforcps. And I'm going to take y'all out on a note. Maybe I'll give you a little rhyme. Ain't no me, my, I with it. We are, God did it. Love take time with it. Fear can't hide in it. Faith called shotgun. Everybody ride with it. Chicago Southside is pulling up in the trenches, relentless, eye for an eye. I'm an eyewitness. Want to know what I witness? Black love, black power, black pride, and black business inside of me. More fire inspire me on the fin. It's all well like I to be. Straight up, I got my drive off King Drive, Intellectual Radio. Thank you, Dr. Roman.
Oh, thank you. You did your history on me as well. That's going to do it for us on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com. Thanks for being my debut back on the show. And we're going to have you back in studio real soon. Thanks a lot. And congratulations on your doctorate. That's going to do it for us on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer, Earl, and Wanda behind the scenes. You guys have a wonderful week.